Democrats have not found the solution to our problems. And as I keep saying, I mean, it's actually kind of a matter of national urgency that Democrats get it together somewhat. I said a couple of weeks ago that for all the whinging and bizarre complaining about Bernie not being a Democrat, what Bernie really is Bernie's a McKinsey consultant going into a failed organization and helping them figure it out. And I actually kind of like this because in this interview at Wolf Blitzer, Bernie gets a question about the Democrats' brand. And I wouldn't ever really expect to hear Bernie speaking this way. But nonetheless, here he is with Anderson Cooper last night.
Congressman Tim Ryan told the New York Times just the other day that, quote, our brand is worse than Trump. Is he right? I mean, is the Democratic brand
He may be.
broken?
The Democratic, look, I speak as the longest serving independent in American congressional history. The Democratic brand is pretty bad. I mean, I think the Trump brand is also pretty bad, as is the Republican brand. That's why so many people are giving up on politics. They're looking in Washington, and what the average American is saying, I'm in a lot of pain. My kid can't afford to go to college. I'm making $10 an hour. What are you going to do for me? And they don't hear much coming out of Washington.
It seems like the Democrats are focusing a lot on President Trump, not as, running I mean, everyone knows that they're against President Trump. I'm not sure people know what they're for.
Well, that's a good point. And I know that many of us are trying to deal just with that very valid point that you make. And what we are for is to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. $1 trillion investment would create up to 13 million good-paying jobs, to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel and into sustainable energy. And when we do that, we create millions of jobs, making public colleges and universities tuition-free. Education has changed. Technology has changed. Our kids need higher education, whether through college or vocational schools, in order to get the good jobs that are out there. And we have got to tell the billionaire class, who are doing phenomenally well, that Trump is serving so arduously right now. We've got to say to this class, you know what? Yes, you're going to have to start paying your fair share of taxes so our kids will have the opportunity to get the education that they need. You can't get it all just because you're a billionaire.
That is totally right. And I think that, just one second, I think that in addition, as I said repeatedly, even if someone like Ossoff is going to run a moderate centrist campaign, you still need to make it about something. You still need to have some type of assertive agenda. And if you go back to the original third way campaigns, Bill Clinton said putting people first, and he talked about an economy working for everybody himself, even in a third way context. And the whole world right now is defined by inequality across the economic spectrum. These issues touch everybody because even if you've done incredibly well, if you see your kids earning less, and maybe if you're lucky enough you could pay off their debt, you know that the whole economy, if you have any sense of reality, has been dragged down for everyone. And this, unless you're a billionaire or multimillionaire, this is the core defining issue. And he's the only one addressing it. People need to catch up. And if Democrats don't clarify their brand, they will remain in trouble. And best case scenario, win by default, which appears to have been the strategy for the last couple of decades.
So I agree with everything Bernie said, and he has talking points, and he's going on different shows and doing different things, repeating them, which is, what works is repetition to get a message across. But the problem with his answer is that Anderson Cooper is saying people don't understand what Democrats represent, and it's a branding problem. And the problem with the answer is that it's much, much too long. It's not even that long, but it's much, much too long. And Bernie Sanders has the best, most shortened way of describing it. And I just can't help but go, every single time I watch him, I just think, why don't we have the Labor Party slogan? Why can't it be that simple? I mean, it is that simple. Like,
But I don't think they performed that well. I mean, the slogan's great. I agree.
it's
but
not
that's
about
not why
some version
they
of
did
that
so well.
is that is the fundamental difference, and people will probably believe that as they start to lose their health care, is that the Democratic Party is out to take care of the many, not the few. I mean, that's what social safety nets are all about, and that's the difference in the parties.
But
If
the other
you
problem
have a
is-
bullet pointed list of
but
all
the
these
other-
talking points, people don't.
But the problem is that's deeper on a brand level, that what Jeremy Corbyn was able to do for labor was to get people to believe that again. The first person who used
That's
many
what I'm saying.
But so he started that by giving, if you look at him talk, he gives a lot of lists too, just like Bernie. I mean, they're both old guys with lists. But you get to a point where you have enough credibility. Most Democrats, if they went across the country right now and said, we're for the many, not the few, people say, we don't know what you mean and we don't believe you, because they have a brand problem. So you need to get rid of that before you can have, I agree, an effective slogan. But people don't trust the messenger now. And
No.
in order to get them to trust the messenger, they need to talk about the policy.
Right. I don't agree with you that. I mean, a slogan isn't going to solve. A slogan isn't going to solve.
I'm with
things.
her. Almost got it for us.
That-
Like
well,
I think basically like you need to actually do stuff for people, because right now
Right.
it's not true that the Democrats represent the many for the few. It's not. They represent a certain type of class of people.
Right. But okay, so the Democratic Party isn't some, like, just comparatively, if we had, if the Democrat had won, we wouldn't be facing all of these problems. We wouldn't be facing problems of, people getting thrown off healthcare. Many people are
but
going to
people's
suffer,
lives
while
would-
few
but
people are going to be enriched
that's
by the
but that's-
Republican Party.
But that's true in a smaller version under Democrats. So until that is,
Of course,
so
yes,
until
nothing
that-
is perfect.
No, that's different than nothing is perfect. No. They are on the same continuum of bad. So, and I'm not, and this is the dumb left thing when people equate it and say it's the same thing. It's not. But under the last several decades, there is no doubt that anybody looking from the perspective of wage stagnation, income inequality, also healthcare access, economic deregulation, policing, prison, and everything else could not say that Democrats are for many, not the few. So until that's clarified and purified, the slogan won't mean anything.
Okay, so what you're
So what
saying to me,
Bernie's-
let me, wait, don't interrupt me.
I'm
What-
not interrupting
Well,
you.
well, I'm just asking you beforehand not to interrupt me. What you're saying is that Democrats need to totally change their policies, put that out there
Mm-hmm.
as as perfect policy.
I didn't say that.
Then they should. Well, then they won't be. They need to be off of the same spectrum of the Republicans. Which the reason they're on it is because it's politics and
It's-
No,
it's
it's
problematic.
because of donors.
Hold
That's
on a
why.
second. They need to totally change their policies. Everyone be in agreement. Then get a slogan. Then have a message. Then go out and talk about it.
Well, these things happen in a
isn't-
synchronized way, but they're not going to be credible with slogan and message until they deal with the policy.
One
And that's
simple
true.
thing they need to do
That's
is
why the numbers are
they
still
need-
bad for them.
One thing I think they need to do, and this is basically it, is to stop being embarrassed about being the party for redistributing wealth and welfare. That's it, because they've been embarrassed about that for like decades, and they still are. They still do this. Like, we need to means test this. We can't give this to
And a
Donald
lot of
Trump's
them-
kids.
Right, and that also makes the slogans harder because that's the problem with Democrats too, is that they either have incredibly arduous, complicated things to explain, and they try to do it, or they come up with vacuous personality politics like I'm with her, neither of which work. So until you, and it's not just a question of redesigning all of the policy, it's a question of having a clear new message, class analysis, and economic delivery, which if everybody's, for the Democratic Party was out every day for the last 3 months saying $20 minimum wage, buy into Medicare, and he's not draining the swamp, they would be a lot further along towards that message than Russia, 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 Russia. And then maybe those slogans can start to come into play after that. But they haven't caught up with Bernie yet. And until they do, their slogans are not going to matter.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos?